Hi, I'm Jim and this is Jim's Fix-It Shop, and today I'm going to take the carburetor off my father-in-law's machine and clean it in my ultrasonic cleaner, if I can get it to work. It's from Harbor Freight and it gives me problems once in a while. I use hot water and just some simple green. Works great. Let it boil for about 15-20 minutes. That thing is so clean. Let's go over here and pull the thing off, and then we'll mix up some cleaner. Alright, I hope you can see I've already got this cover loose for the air breather. That just slides off. I cut the gas line off because I usually replace the gas lines, especially if you're having any problems with your engine as far as not running smoothly, or it seems to slow down after it's been running for a few minutes. These gas lines, some of them are double wall, and I've seen the inner wall collapse and cut off the gas flow to the carburetor. So you might want to check that. I just replace them and I don't have to worry about it. Now we're going to take these screws out that hold the carburetor to the block, and then we're going to unhook all these linkages. Now if you're afraid you're not going to remember where the linkages go, just take a picture of them with your cell phone and you don't have to remember. You just have to tip the carburetor and try to unhook them. Sometimes that's not all that easy. See which way they're bent first, so you can pull them out. A little spring here. This should slip out like that. Now this one does have a jet to adjust the carburetor with. This must be an older one. The new ones have no adjustments at all on them. So let's go back over here and clean this thing out. Okay, we'll tip this thing down so hopefully you can see a little bit. I want to carefully pull this gasket off so I can reuse it. Yep, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, to get this old piece of gas line off, I have a pair of these cutters. They're called Handy Cut. Craftsman came out with them first, but you can buy them anywhere. Basically, all this is a pair of pliers with a razor blade in it. And these things really cut nice. Now you just cut straight down and cut that hose in half, and you can peel it off. Now somewhere around here I have some extra plastic elbows. I've had a few of these crack on me, and basically that's another one of these parts in these carburetors that the gas with ethanol in it is going to eat up. And what it does is it weakens it, and if you bump your gas line or try to take your tank off to drain it, you're going to break that little elbow. Now we'll pull the float bowl off, and hopefully we can reuse the gasket on the float bowl. A lot of dirt in the bottom of that. And we'll pull out the pin for the float. We don't have to wash the pin or the float. Now you want to watch when you pull this float out, because they're all different. This one does not have a little spring on it. Some of them do. This is one of the better needle valves because it has a black rubber point that helps seal in the carburetor. Now the reason I'm cleaning this carburetor is someone installed a shutoff valve on the gas tank, which leads me to believe that the carburetor is leaking gas into the engine, and that's why they did that. We're going to pull this little gasket off. I'm going to look around because I believe I think I bought like 4 sets of gaskets for these carburetors, including the float bowls, because this one is metal, I believe. Yep. The one that I had, we can't spill that stuff. Guess I better get a towel. Well, that was a catastrophe. Man, I can't be spilling that stuff. Oh, and speaking of that stuff, this video is for Van Diesel. He thinks I should go back to blue instead of red because red didn't really help me all that much on the last video. And I guess if you're not sure what I'm talking about between blue and red, you're going to have to back up and watch a couple videos. Now I'm hoping you can see in here how this thing cleans. Maybe if I raise it a little. You can just see the dirt coming off of this thing. I don't know how much of that you can see. I'm going to try holding this by hand for a minute. I don't know if there's so much glare from the lights overhead. I don't know if you can see how it actually looks like it's smoking. It's hard to hold this stupid thing. Maybe we'll shut the light off, see what that does. You can see how the water is moving around. That's this thing. It's just from the vibrations. And it really cleans the carburetors really well. You can see bubbles coming up from the inside of the carburetor. You just keep rotating it so everything is under the water level. And we're just going to let this run for about 15 minutes and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, this has been about 14 minutes and you can see how dirty the water is. And I don't know if you remember how black it was, but it's cleaning up pretty nicely. Now, as dirty as this water is getting, I think I'm going to change the water, put some more cleaner in it, and let it run for a few more minutes. And I'll see what that looks like. Okay, this has been boiling for, or I should say bubbling or vibrating, whatever you want to call it, for about another 10 minutes with clean water in there. You can see it's still pretty clean. So I'm going to say this bad boy looks pretty good compared to what it looked like when I took it off the engine. Now if you want to speed this process up a little bit, you can use a toothbrush or a small brush to clean it. It even took the whatever they had on here to seal that gasket. I don't know if it was some type of sealant or just had some gasket material stuck to it, but that even cleaned right off. So we're just going to blow this thing off, and I'll show you how to check to make sure your seat and needle valve are sealing properly. It's the way my boss showed me years ago to check it, and I guess I'll tell you how he explained it to me. So let me get this thing blown off with an air hose, and I'll be right back. Okay, I got this all blown off. Now, tell you a little problem I had, or an issue. I cleaned a carburetor a few years ago, and when I got done, I was blowing it off. Well, the needle valve, or the needle, I don't know which one it's called, the needle valve, I guess, didn't have a rubber tip on it. The seat had an insert down in the hole that was rubber that helped it seal. So when I was drying it off, I blew air into the intake where the gas goes, and I heard this popping noise, and I seen something go flying. That was the little rubber seat that's supposed to be down inside for the needle valve. Well, I did find it, but it took some looking. So if you're going to do that, hold your finger loosely over the hole, so if you do have one of them in there, you'll feel it come up and hit your finger, and you can remove it and then finish drying it off. But this one seems to be working okay now. And now this is going to sound strange, but depending who you ask, I'm a strange person, I guess. But my boss told me how to check these for sealing after you get them rebuilt or cleaned. And either pressure or vacuum is going to work the same on these little needle valves. So he told me to draw a vacuum where the gas goes and then put your tongue on it. If the vacuum remains, you're okay. If you lose vacuum right away, you're going to have to replace the needle or the seat, one of the two. You got to lift up on the float. It holds a good vacuum. If some of them are sealing really good, it'll actually hold the float, the weight of the float up before it pops and you lose vacuum on it. But I see no reason why this one's not going to work. I even threw the float bowl in there and cleaned that up. I'm hoping that this gasket will reseal. I'll find out in a hurry once I start running it. If it doesn't, I can get it on there without knocking it out of place. And it sure doesn't want to cooperate. Oh boy, it's raining here again. I tell you, we can't get rid of this rain that we've been getting lately. I don't know if that's on there right or not. Get that gasket down there where it's supposed to be. I did find my parts for my carburetor kits. I have 2 float bowls in there and 3 kits to rebuild the carburetor with. The only problem, it's for Tecumseh engine. This is a Briggs & Stratton, so not going to work well. The float bowls are a little bit larger in diameter, and I think they do that just so you can't interchange the parts. But that's it. We're going to throw it back on the machine, and unfortunately I won't be able to test it until I get the rest done and get it running. But that's it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the box below. Like I said, this thing is from Harbor Freight. It's not a real expensive one. It on the front here, it's got a button they call TC, like Tom and Cat. And when you push that, it turns a heater on inside of here and keeps the fluid hot for you so you can use it for a longer period of time. Why they got TC on it instead of heat? Made in China. What can I say? Maybe they don't know how to spell heat. I don't know. But it wasn't terribly expensive. It was like $79. If you wait till you get that 20% off coupon thing I've never used, you can get it a little better deal on it. This one I'm going to have to replace because it acts up on me a lot. But as far as cleaning carburetors, that is really the way to do it. I mean, there's no dirt left on this thing anywhere. It does a fabulous job cleaning carburetor. So if you have any questions or comments, put them in that little box below. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out sending these videos out to other people. And or send me an email. Until next time, work safe, have fun, and tune that engine up. We'll talk to you soon.